All right, we're back. There we go. A bit of magic there. All right, now this event will be in English with simultaneous Japanese interpretation available as well. Now, to access the Japanese translation, please open the Zoom link now available in the chat. Turn on audio from the Zoom and mute the in-event site. That way you'll be able to hear the Japanese translation going for you. All right. Now, if you have any questions for the presenters, make sure you put them in the Q&A function on your right-hand side under the chat function. We'll have a very full session this morning, so we'll do our best to get to all of your questions. Right now, who is going to be introducing this session is Maria Panuncio-Feldman, the Senior Director of the International Climate Corporation for WWF. Maria, I'm looking forward to this session. Take it away.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for joining us in this important day for Australia and the world. As the countries prepare to convene in Glasgow this fall to accelerate the response to the climate crisis, we welcome you to an exciting conversation about what it will take to deliver. We have roughly 10 years to transform the global economy, cut emissions in half, and get on the right path to net zero. National governments have an absolutely critical role to play, but they will not do it alone. This coming decade calls for all players in our economies and our societies to take a part. Individual leadership is critical, but when institutions work together with their peers, other sectors, and their national governments, this is when we unlock faster and deeper progress through collaboration. This is the reason that Alliances for Climate Action was created, with a broad set of partners. Alliances for Climate Action seeks to nurture a new form of climate leadership by bringing together climate leaders across every level of society to accelerate national processes of transition. Alliances for Climate Action does so by scaling up climate actions, marshaling domestic public support, and mobilizing a unified call for ambitious climate targets and policies. To date, we're proud to say that Alliances for Climate Action has supported the development of national alliances in 7 countries that account for 22% of the world's emissions: Argentina, Brazil, Japan, Mexico, South Africa, the United States, and Vietnam, with over 6,000 institutions mobilized to date. Today, we're so proud to welcome Better Futures Australia to this growing network of collaborative climate leadership. So without further ado, I want to welcome Lisa Cliff to the stage. Lisa?
Thanks so much, Mariana, and it's a pleasure to be with you all today to launch Better Futures Australia as a member of the Global Alliances for Climate Action. I'd like to acknowledge that I'm calling from Yagara and Turrbal country and pay my respects to elders past, present, and future. Better Futures Australia was conceived during the terrible fires of 2019-2020, and these last few weeks we've seen similar fires in Greece, Turkey, the US, and Canada. It's during these moments, in the face of destructive climate impacts, that people from all walks of life seek ways to contribute to the greater whole. We are driven to increase not only our own climate actions, but to drive ambitious climate action in our communities, in our businesses, and at all levels of government towards an ambitious national and global response. CANA started Better Futures Australia with dozens of skilled and energized partners, and I'm pleased and proud that Better Futures Australia has grown to create a connective tissue domestically, building on existing actions and credible commitments, and leveraging further action across all corners of society and the economy. For instance, Climate and Health Alliance and Doctors for the Environment Australia, alongside other partners, convened a Better Futures Australia working group across their sector, with health workers, companies, investors, super funds, state and local government representatives, researchers and unions, and others coming together to map out a pathway to a zero emissions health sector. With this momentum and drive, it can only be a matter of time before Health Minister Greg Hunt adopts the plan. The breadth of commitment and engagement across this forum is inspirational. Companies and investors, local councils and cities, state representatives, First Nations, healthcare institutions, social service organizations, farmers, landholders, academic and cultural institutions, faith leaders and communities, climate change experts and action firms, community organizations, and more, all engaging through Better Futures Australia to share, learn, and grow. And now we need the federal government to join us, to work with us, to meet our ambition and set an ambitious national climate action plan ahead of COP26 in Glasgow. By joining the Alliances for Climate Action, Better Futures Australia is going global, with representatives of our sister alliances joining us today. We recognise that we have a lot to learn from each other, and that together we can drive the change we need to create better futures for us all. And as countries around the world step up their climate action ahead of COP26 this November, Australia can be inspired by the national ambition in our peers. As we just heard from Jonathan, including the United States, as well as the UK, the EU, and Japan. Their ambition shows that global economies and communities are ready for the transition to zero emissions futures. With communities, with business, and with government, together, we can do this. Thanks, Mariana.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. And congratulations to you and to all of the institutions that have joined forces to create a unified movement in support of climate action and a better future for Australia. Congratulations. So let us now bring a panel that will put this announcement and its implications in a broader perspective. I have a great panel joining me today. So I want to bring to the stage John Davis, the director of the climate action firm South Pole, who will speak on behalf of Better Futures Australia. Welcome, John. Ms. Nguyen Thi Kim Hoa, Deputy Director of Microfinance for Community Development Institute, MACD, who will be speaking to us on behalf of the Viet Nam Coalition for Climate Action. Welcome, Ms. Hoa.
Thank you, Mariana.
We now are going to also have Ms. Mikako Suzuki, Corporate Officer in charge of Environmental, Social, and Governance and Risk Management at RICO, who will be speaking on behalf of the Japan Climate Initiative. Welcome, Ms. Suzuki. And we will also have, last but not least, Mr. Mario Silva, Director General of the Metropolitan Institute for Planning for the Guadalajara Metropolitan Area, IMEPLAN, on behalf of the Alianzas para la Acción Climática de México. Welcome, Mario.
Hello. Hola, Mariana.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all for being with us today. And I really want to take this opportunity to show to all of the leaders in Australia who are taking climate action that Australia has company. So I first want to start with you, John. John, congratulations on being part of this new alliance, Better Futures Australia. We would really love to hear more about the work of your climate action firm, South Pole. We want to understand how South Pole has been enabling companies to set credible net zero targets, and what motivated you to go beyond the work that you are already doing with South Pole to go and join Better Futures Australia. So please, John, you have the floor.
Great. Thanks, Mariana. I could go for 1 hour on that, but I'll try and wrap it up in 5 minutes. Thank you so much for the introduction. It's fantastic to be here. Fantastic to be such a part of a really diverse international panel and a really exciting event. So thank you. South Pole, also the carbon neutral sponsor of the Better Futures Forum as well. We're excited to do that. A little bit about our company. At South Pole, we're more than just an advisory. We are creating climate action for companies around the world. We've been around for 15 years now and creating real carbon reduction projects around the globe, including Australia. So when we work with companies and setting a net zero target or their own low carbon trajectory, we're not only helping them reduce their emissions, but we're helping them also create additional impact on the ground, going further through actual carbon reduction and renewable energy as well. So in this, as you mentioned, crucial decade of delivery, we help companies go and take this ambition and make it real action. And importantly, in Australia, companies really do have influence and skin in the game to make a real difference to the economy and the emissions trajectory of Australia as well. We've had a presence in Australia for about 5 years now. And in that time, we've really witnessed a dramatic shift over the last 12 months in corporate attitudes, not just here in Australia, but with our trading partners across Asia as well, importantly Vietnam and Japan, with obviously a number of countries declaring their own net zero emissions trajectories too. So at South Pole, we believe that corporate climate leadership is critical, and we actually see its real positive impacts too. Corporate leadership is obviously about setting bold targets, and it's by leading by example and communicating those targets transparently. Not only that, I think what the key element really is that it's just simple good business. The business world's changed, and all companies ask themselves, what should their approach be? And none more so than most companies in Australia, particularly exposed to low carbon trading pressures and real climate risks. So what does South Pole actually do? When we engage with clients, we actually have our own climate journey that we effectively work through with them. And that's a really a 5-step roadmap where we help our clients measure their own footprint, understand the risks that climate has on their own business. We help them set that emissions roadmap and create targets, whether that's through science-based targets or net zero. And then we look at how we can reduce their footprint. What immediate business implications can we do, and where can we reduce? And we do that on the ground. They've got teams across the globe that can help do that. And the last piece for us is really financing climate action. Not all emissions are avoidable. There are some unavoidable emissions. We have carbon offset projects that companies can invest in and create impact around the world. And our final piece of that puzzle is really communicating that. How can we help our clients clearly communicate and transparently communicate what they're doing? So to date, we've worked with around 1,000 companies around the world, really in a range of sizes and sectors. In Australia, we've done some climate risk analysis with companies like Goodman Properties, Boral. We do low carbon products with TPG and ASOP. And globally, we help companies such as Nestle. We're working with them on their net zero roadmap and helping them achieve their net zero ambition. So it's really fantastic to be here. Very excited to be part of this forum with such a diverse selection of companies that are involved. And we're here because we want to enable more companies to take those steps, whether the first steps or the end steps of this climate journey, to make their net zero targets and ambitions a reality.
Thank you, John. Thank you for sharing your experience and what inspires you to work with others so that we can go farther together. Ms. Howe, welcome. I want to thank you for joining the launch of Better Futures Australia today. We know that opportunities to reduce emissions are abundant, as John was relaying. There are benefits of doing this that touch the ground. And we also know that we must prepare our societies for the impacts for climate change. Both are imperative, but we need finance to make that happen. So what is the role of your institution, MACD, in ensuring access to climate finance while addressing development challenges, and now the challenges on top of that posed by the COVID pandemic? And tell us how the work of your association, MACD, has been expanded. The impact of your association has been expanded by being part of the Vietnam Coalition for Climate Action.
Yes, that's a so interesting subject. Today's Mariana, thank you very much. And firstly, I would like to congratulate all of the institutions in Australia that have joined hands today to launch a Better Future Australia. This is really great to see all of that. Can you hear me clearly, Mariana? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Ms. Hoa, you're doing great. So please go ahead. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. First, before we can address on your question, so just let me introduce the work of my institution. What is MACD is doing now? MACD is leading the microfinance lending institution in Vietnam. Since our establishment in 2007, MACD has been promoting on sustainable development with a focus on supporting economically and socially disadvantaged and vulnerable groups. Especially, we focus on ethnic minority women and children. We also have a close association with our government of Vietnam, like State Bank of Vietnam, Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, and other ministry for implementation of our projects. We also been recognized by the Vietnam Ministry of Science and Technology as a trusted partner in implementing environmental protection projects. Until now, MACD has been doing quite a number of programs and projects in the area of sustainable community development, climate change adaptation, mitigation, and including smart agriculture and renewable energy in the some part of Vietnam to bring sustainable livelihood to the poor and low income group in our country. As you mentioned about how we have been contributing to the environmental protection and climate change and how we can do the financing to the climate change action. In fact, so far we have been doing a number of projects like for implementing sawdust pellets production project. That is one of the projects under the second stage of the Energy and Environmental Partnership Program of the Netherlands government in Vietnam and in Mekong area. This project, we can aim at enhancing reliable energy approach and sustainable as well as adapting climate change and livelihood development for poverty reduction for our local people and bring stable income for them. With all this sawdust pellets production, this is a way of reducing pollution of the air pollution as well as the soil and the water pollution in the rural area of our country and also reduce negative impacts on people's health. And that's why we can make use of all the biomass byproduct like some agricultural production, and we also bring in the clean fertilizer from this soda pellets, and it is quite a good project result we have achieved so far. For 300 local workers has been created job and get stabilized income for their family. And another project that we have been doing so far is the biogas digester installation for the ethnic minority people in one of the northern province in Vietnam. And with that one, we also now to want to expand further for more and more low income people can access to the clean energy and also a source of renewable energy for them. This one, the biogas installation project is very beneficial to our community in terms of the hand protection, and we can create more jobs for the local ethnic minority group and also reduce the use of the other fossil resource for cooking at their home, and also reduce deforestation and greenhouse gas emission. And recently, we have been collaboration with some other international supplier for the advanced biogas technology, so that we can bring in the more environmental friendly system to our rural and mountainous household. And with that, they also have some unique feature, which is very good for the environment and adapt to climate change with the reduction of 6 tons of CO2 emission every year if each household use one system. So with that one, we believe that with our microfinance lendings mechanism, as well as bringing the clean energy for people, we had to try to help people access to the better living condition and better environment, and with the more adaptation to the climate change. And Magdi is also believe that financing is the heart of the addressing on the climate crisis. With our project so far, we have been providing tangible socio-economic benefit like job creation for about nearly 7,000 ethnic people, and we also plan to expand our project further to reach about 20,000 people to access to clean energy and also green environment. And we want to scale up this program throughout Vietnam to reach more and more low-income people, and also help them to be well aware of the environment protection. And of course, Vietnam also we try to help the government to reach the SDG goal number 7 for affordable and clean energy, and also the SDG 13 climate change mitigation for our Vietnam. I think with all that, we have been doing with our community, like bringing the microfinance lending to them, and to support them with the stable and sustainable livelihood for vulnerable group in our country. We have been supported to support them to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic, because with such a small microfinance support, as well as other training and other talking on the environmental awareness raising, so we can help our people to better adapt to the environment, to the better environment and living environment. I think that is we have been doing so far for at least to help to reduce the climate change impact to in Vietnam, and we also join hand with some other in our Vietnam Coalition for Climate Action. That one is quite a good opportunity for Magdi to raise voice together with other, and we can bring in the more power for and to give pressure to our government. So I think it is what we have been doing so far, Mariana.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hoa. Thank you so much for, I think through the examples that you provided, I am inspired by how this crisis can also be turned as an opportunity for us to address the long-standing inequities that we have in every country around the world, and how this may be an opportunity to address those inequities, address issues such as energy access in a way that allows us to leapfrog the technologies of the past, and in that process offer a better future for people, better health, better quality of life. So thank you for your work, and thank you for joining forces with Better Futures, with the Vietnam Coalition, for climate action, so that your asks are taken up by many others and are carried forward for the benefit of all Vietnamese people. So thank you again. So now let me turn to Ms. Suzuki. It's so great to have you today. I just want to remind everybody that we will have translation for the remarks. We will have the chance for me to pose the question, and then Ms. Suzuki will respond, and we will have a simultaneous translator who will be translating along the way. So with this, Ms. Suzuki, I want to welcome you. RICO is one of the leading global multinational corporations with an ambitious net zero target. In fact, it's also part of this growing Race to Zero circle within the Japan Climate Initiative. Congratulations on that. can you please tell us more about what motivated RICO to set this target, and how you think that having a growing group of institutions committed to net zero in Japan, as part of the Japan Climate Initiative and beyond, how is that providing confidence to the Japanese government to set a higher climate ambition? Ms. Suzuki, we cannot hear you. I think that you are on mute. So is it possible for us to check the audio, which for the audience we checked beforehand, but this is our live in virtual meetings. So I just want to make sure that we are okay. Let me see. Let's try again. Ms. Suzuki, please go ahead. No, we're still having you muted for some reason. Okay, let me hear from the production team. Let's go to Mario then. So Mario, welcome. Hola,
How's it going? Hola, ¿cómo te va?
Let's switch to Mexico, and then we'll go back, and we'll go to the Americas, and then go back to the Asia Pacific region. So, Mario, welcome to this session today, and thank you for joining us. So, let's talk about what's happening on the other side of the globe, Mario, in Mexico. So, the city of Guadalajara, for everyone's benefit, is the second largest metropolitan area in Mexico, and Guadalajara was an IMEPLAN, the institute that you lead, was a founding member of the Alianza para la Acción Climática, the Alliance for Climate Action in Mexico. So Guadalajara has also approved, and congratulations, Mario, an impressive 1.5 C climate action plan, or aligned climate action plan, which is also through its targets well aligned with the UNFCCC Race to Zero campaign, of which you're also a part. So Mario, as we head to COP, the big issue that we're going to be facing is that we need to pivot from commitment to implementation. Not that implementation wasn't happening, but that we need to accelerate it. So can you please tell us, with that in mind, why is it that you championed the creation of the Alliance for Climate Action in Mexico? And how is collaboration with other actors, which sounds great, but we don't have nearly enough of it, how is your collaboration with other actors in the Alliance helping you in very concrete ways implement the climate action plan of Guadalajara?
Well, thank you, Mariana. And well, good morning in Australia. Good evening here from Mexico. Congratulations to Better Futures Australia. I'm so excited to have you as part of the global network of national ACAs, as we say it in Spanish. So let me talk a little bit about our work and who we are. IMEPLAN is the Planning and Development Management Institute of the Metropolitan Area of Guadalajara. We are an intermunicipal body, and we work with the 9 municipalities and also with the state government in our metropolis, with the aim of planning, coordinating, and managing the development of our metropolis. In 2020, we set a 1.6 climate action plan, which entails a path of multi-level and multi-sectorial climate actions with a long-term vision to achieve a carbon-neutral, resilient, and inclusive metropolis by 2050. So it proposed, our plan, a structure that includes 3 objectives, 8 strategies, 29 goals, 34 indicators, and more than 100 actions planned and in the process of implementation by the public sector. as well as the identification of 62 additional actions that are already implemented by the non-governmental and private sectors. So in its mitigation objective, for instance, our plan proposed strategies for the sectors of waste, energy, and transportation. The second objective seeks to increase the adaptive capacities of the city from strengthened metropolitan instruments and green and strategic infrastructure projects. On the other hand, our third objective addresses the mainstreaming of climate change and metropolitan coordination to achieve that. It's including the link with the citizens and non-governmental sectors to expand the climate ambition. It highlights comprehensive priority projects that are part of the public policies that we develop and we intervene, and that in some cases are already in the process of implementation, being the case of our most important line of BRT, called Mi Macro Periférico, that integrates articulated buses, low-emission public transport units, bicycle paths, and accessibility for users, sidewalks, for instance, as well as the formation of a large line urban forest. And secondly, the recent implementation of the first 100 electric public transport route with 38 units operated by women drivers. This is an important project with the support of C40 and other international partners. A new metropolitan waste management model, zero-based, which prioritizes the recovery of materials, their valorization, and the management of environmental abilities. So we know that it is not just enough to set a plan. We must pivot to implementation, and there is no way we are going to achieve the level of transformation that we need if our local governments work alone and separate from the private sector, universities, civil society, and other actors. We need to create a critical mass and a visible one that can inspire others to join us. This is why we were a founding member of ACA here in Guadalajara, and we are strong supporters of the ACA model in Mexico. As we look ahead, we think that the radical collaboration is needed to deliver on our climate targets, and that ACA Guadalajara, the metropolitan area node of our growing national alliance, is a critical delivery mechanism for our climate action plan. ACA Guadalajara has established working groups across the key sectors that are influential in terms of the economy and emissions for the metropolis, including energy, waste, transport, and we are taking the results and learnings from these working groups to inform what actions we take to meet the greenhouse emission gases reduction target of those key sectors critical to our emissions and gross domestic product, while we recover better from the COVID-19 pandemic. For instance, the University of Guadalajara is leading the intelligent distributed generation, a new inclusive energy culture in the metropolis. This project is very important, which has the overall objective to develop a distributed generation intervention through renewable energy, microgrids, storage systems, and real-time energy monitoring, promoting a new energy culture in government institutions and some buildings in the metropolis, as well as in marginalized neighborhoods, buildings located in the urban periphery. Its implementation target to reduce the energy consumption by 20%. The challenge before us is enormous, but I am confident that if we work together at the level, at the local level, at the state level, at the national level, and across borders, we can deliver the transformation we urgently seek. I look forward to working with our brothers and sisters and partners in Australia, and thank you very much for the opportunity to share this small initiatives with you.
Thank you, Mario. Thank you. This is a time when we all need to work together. And as we can hear from a local government in Mexico, they are mobilizing the society more broadly within the metropolitan area to do this and working across sectors, across constituencies. It's essential if we're really going to deliver the objectives that we seek at the scale, scale and the speed that we need. So I'm very grateful for what we've heard so far. Let me now can we turn back to Ms. Suzuki? Let's see. Ms. Suzuki, let's see if we can hear your voice. Yes. Okay. So Ms. Suzuki, I'm so glad we figured it out. Okay, so Ms. Suzuki, you heard my question, right? Can you go ahead, or should I repeat? We're good? You can go ahead.
はい。はい。はい。リコの鈴木です。今日聞こえませんです。ごめんなさい。今日はこの素晴らしいイベントの招きいただきましてありがとうございます。最初にベターフューチャーオーストラリアの設立についてお祝い申し上げたいと思います。私はノンステートアクターのネットワークが世界に広がっていることを非常に嬉しく思います。おめでとうございます。
So I am Suzuki from Rico. Sorry about the microphone issue earlier on. So thank you for inviting me to this wonderful event today. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Better Futures Australia on its establishment. I am very happy to see that a network of non-state actors is spreading around the world. Congratulations.
では、マリアナさんからの2つの質問にお答えしたいと思います。まず、なぜリコーがネットゼロ目標を掲げたかについてお話します。リコーは2017年4月に2050年ネットゼロを宣言しました。同時に2030年の中間目標も設定し、リコーの目標はサイエンスとベースターゲットの 1.5 度認定を受けています。また、日本企業としては初めてとなる RE100 への参加もこのタイミングで宣言しました。
So now I'd like to answer two questions from Mariana. First, I'd like to talk about why RICO has set a net zero goal. So RICO declared net zero in 2050 back in April 2017. At the time, we also set an interim target for 2030, and RICO's target has been certified as science-based target 1.5 degrees Celsius. We also declared our participation in RE100 at this time as the first Japanese company to do so.
リコーが気候変動問題に積極的に取り組みを進める理由を3つほど紹介いたします。1つ目は気候危機に対する危機感です。世界で頻発する豪雨や干ばつなどの気候変動は市民生活や企業活動に大きなリスクをもたらしています。日本では東京オリンピックが終わってからずっと豪雨が続いて被害が出ています。IPCC も警告するように、まさにこの10年の取り組みが重要で待ったなしの状況というに感じています。
So there are three reasons why RICO is actively working on climate change issues. The first is our sense of urgency regarding the climate crisis. Climate change, such as the frequent heavy rains and droughts that occur around the world, poses a great risk to citizens' lives and corporate activities. In Japan, ever since the Tokyo Olympics ended, torrential rains have continued and have caused damage. As the IPCC has warned, we are in a desperate situation, and our efforts and initiatives in the coming decade are crucial.
2つ目は、企業が企業価値を高めていくには、気候変動を含む ESG の取り組みが不可欠であるとの認識です。企業には社会課題の解決を通じた事業成長やイノベーションが求められているのです。ここに大きなビジネスチャンスがあるはずですし、気候変動に取り組まない企業は、投資家や顧客といったステークホルダーからの支持を得られないんです。
The second is a recognition that ESG initiatives, including climate change, are essential for companies to enhance their corporate value. Companies are expected to grow their business and innovate through solving social issues. There should be great business opportunities here, and companies that do not address climate change will not be supported by their stakeholders, such as investors and customers.
3つ目は COP21 のオフィシャルスポンサーを務めた経験です。 リコはパリ協定が合意された COP21 において、会場で使用されるすべてのプリンター複合機を提供しました。スポンサー企業として様々な情報に触れる機会を得ました。この経験は私たちがネットゼロの重要性を早い段階で理解し、行動してきたことに大きな影響を与えています。
The third is our experience as an official sponsor of COP21. At the COP21, where the Paris Agreement was concluded, RICO provided all the printers and copiers used in the venue. As a sponsored company, we had opportunity to access a variety of information. This experience had a great impact on our early understanding of the importance of net zero and actions that we have taken.
2つ目の質問の JCI レーストゥゼロサークルや JCI メンバー企業のネットゼロ目標設定が日本政府の野心的な目標設定の後押しになっているかについてお答えします。昨年10月、日本では菅総理がカーボンニュートラルを宣言しました。その背景には間違いなくネットゼロを宣言する企業や RE100 参加企業の急増があります。
So now I'd like to answer the second question about whether the JCR Race to Zero Circle and a setting of net zero targets by JCR member companies is helping the Japanese government to set more ambitious targets. Last October, Prime Minister Suga declared Japan to be a carbon neutral. This is undoubtedly due to the rapid increase in a number of companies declaring net zero and participating in RE100.
日本ではパリ協定後以降、企業がパリ協定を踏まえて目標設定を進めるようになりました。JCI などのプラットフォームにより、これらの企業の声が政府に届きやすくなったと思っています。例えば JCI は今年4月、企業や自治体など291の JCI のメンバーとともに、2030年の削減目標と再生可能エネルギー目標の引き上げを日本政府に求めました。その結果、日本政府は2030年までに排出量を 46% 削減し、さらに 50% にも挑戦することを約束したんです。
In Japan, since the Paris Agreement was concluded, companies have started to set their own targets based on the Paris Agreement. And I believe that platforms such as JCI have made it easier for these companies' voices to reach the government. For example, in April this year, JCI, together with 291 JCI members, including corporations and local governments, urged Japanese government to raise its 2030 target of reduction and renewable energy. As a result, the Japanese government pledged to reduce its emissions by 46% by 2030 and to further challenge reduction by 50%.
企業が政府を動かし、政府が動いたことで、他の企業がまた取り組みを始めるという好循環が生まれています。政府は従来、業界団体の声を企業の意見として捉える傾向がありましたが、現在はより多様な意見に耳を傾けるようになってきています。Better Futures Australia がそのような役割を果たすことを期待しています。ありがとうございます。私からは以上です。
A virtuous circle has been created in which companies move the government, and when the government moves, other companies begin to take actions. In the past, governments tended to view the voices of industry groups and opinions of businesses, but now they are listening to a more diverse range of opinions. I hope that Better Futures Australia will play a role like this. So thank you very much. That is all from me. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Suzuki, and thank you. We need those diverse voices. We need all of you who are listening, and those who are not listening, we need you to reach out to them so that we can actually create a stronger and more diverse voice in support of climate action and in support of a better future for us all. Thank you to all of the panel members for their leadership and their inspiring interventions today. I thank you. It is now my great honor to introduce Gonzalo Muñoz. Gonzalo is the inspiring business entrepreneur who reinvented Chile's recycling industry and is now known around the world as the UNFCCC high-level champion for climate action on behalf of the COP25 presidency. We have a pre-recorded intervention from Gonzalo today, so I now give the floor to Gonzalo.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, friends. It is a real honor to be with you today to welcome the launch of Better Futures Australia. This is such an inspiring moment and one that could not come any sooner given where we stand. Better Future Australia joins the global movement, the Alliances for Climate Action, and its national alliances of cities, states, regions, companies, academia, faith, health, cultural institutions, and indigenous federations, also civil society in countries like Argentina, Brazil, Japan, Mexico, South Africa, the US, and Vietnam, that are all working together for an inclusive, resilient, net zero future for all. I honestly believe Chile will follow your example very soon. The latest report from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, tell us that climate change is widespread, rapid, and intensifying. Australia knows all of this firsthand, but in case we needed any reminders, we only need to see the news of scorching heat waves in Western United States and Canada, floods in China and Western Europe, and the growing irreversible change that is taking hold around the world. The IPCC also tell us that while many of these changes will endure, strong and sustained reduction in emissions of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases will limit climate change if we act now. Benefits for air quality will come quickly if we act decisively, but it could take 20 to 30 years to see global temperatures stabilize, so there's no moment to lose. The future is literally in our hands, and if there was ever a question about whether each one holds a thread in the shared tapestry of humanity's future, the latest IPCC report lays that to rest. This is a moral duty. And I have the privilege of speaking with many leaders around the world who want to be part of the solution to the climate crisis and wonder how they are feeling the tension there in their personal lives, but also in regards to the organization they might be leading. To all of them, I tell them to focus mostly in 3 areas. 1, lead by example. It's so much about you. 2nd, be vocal ambassador. And 3rd, join forces with others. This is so massive, we cannot solve it alone. So first, leading by example requires, of course, setting ambitious climate targets that are in line with what science demands. And we are having so much strong evidence from science. We know that we need to cut global greenhouse gas emissions by half in the next 9 years, and that we need to reach net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. We need national governments to align country targets with this trajectory, and we need all subnational and non-state actors, institutions to do the same. This is why, together with my dear friend Nigel Topping, the COP26 climate champions, we have established the Race to Zero campaign in order to build an unstoppable momentum of institutions formally aligned with those targets, delivering those through actions and committed to disclose their progress publicly. We need that momentum to gain a strong foothold everywhere, in Australia and around the world. We're so proud to have today the Alliances for Climate Action as a Race to Zero accelerator partner, so that we can reach and galvanize as many institutions around the world as quickly as possible. By being part of the Alliances for Climate Action, Better Future Australia also becomes a national accelerator partner. Already, many Australian actors have committed to a credible net zero target and have joined the Race to Zero campaign. However, we need much more actors to join us. Through BFA, we really look forward to working with many Australian cities, states, regions, companies, investors, academia, and other civil society organizations to increase the momentum of both 2030 and 2050 net zero aligned climate targets. This is why this will also provide the signal to the national government that Australia actors are ready for the transitioning to a net zero society and trigger a positive ambition loop that puts the needed positive pressure on the Australian national government and the national government to commit to ambitious climate targets under the Paris Agreement ahead of COP26. That's what we call the ambition loop that is so needed. Second, be a vocal ambassador. It's not just enough for your institutions to do its part. We need leaders to speak on publicly, as we heard today, about why they are taking action, the benefits and the opportunities that come from doing so, and what more is needed to set the ambition, to start acting, to set also and work on advocacy. We need them to share their experience in Australia and other countries around the world, which is why I'm so proud to be with you for the launch of Better Futures Australia Day, and to know that you're part of a growing network of national alliances all around the world. And we really need those alliances to keep on growing, to set even alliances at the continental level, for those voices to be heard globally, but also to be the best possible platform for landing the global conversation at the regional and local level. Third, join forces with others. It's all about radical collaboration. The only way in which we will create a safe future for people and planet is if we mobilize the entire society in this effort. It is only if companies, cities and states, universities, tribes, health, cultural and faith institutions, investors, civil society organizations, and individual citizens all work together to engage in the national policy process that we will create lasting enabling conditions for change. It is only if we collaborate that we will accelerate emissions reductions in key sectors such as energy, transport, agriculture, and buildings, in ways that both address climate and, of course, improve our daily lives. This is why I'm such a supporter of the collaborative approach that is at the center, at the heart of the Alliances for Climate Action, and I'm so excited to see Better Future Australia today. COP26 this year in Glasgow is absolutely a critical moment for all of us. It is a moment in which we all need to be able to answer, what am I doing to help? What has been my role until today, and what will be my role in the future? Through the work of your individual institutions and your participations in Better Future Australia, you're building a stronger momentum for the deep transformation that we need, rooted in the circumstances, the needs and the opportunities of each country. I wholeheartedly welcome the Better Future Australia to the global momentum for climate action, and look forward to working with all of you to help accelerate the transition to a resilient net zero future in Australia and all around the world. And again, I deeply hope that many others will follow your amazing leadership. Thank you so much.
There we go. I'm unmuted. Now you can understand what I was saying. I'm sure you could have understood by my wild gesturing here. I thought that was an incredible speech from Gonzalo, a great way to wrap up that part of the forum. Big thank you to Gonzalo and all of our speakers, Mariana, Ms. Suzuki, Ms. Hoa, John and Mario. Thank you so much. And also big thank you to Regindo for doing the interpreting, and what a fantastic session. So many people are completely jazzed in the chat. I love here from Julianne, who said, yes, it is a race. And I love that the enthusiasm that folks at the Better Futures Forum have joined the ACA. That is absolutely terrific. If you want to talk about this on social media, you can use the @BetterFutures hashtag and hashtag Better Futures Forum as well. We're about to take a break and we'll be back here at about an hour and a half away. And then we'll be back with a new session called A Healthy, Just and Resilient Zero Emissions Australia. We'll see you at 12 noon. And I'm just pumped up. I'm so pumped up.